The new parts have arrived from the factory without issue. They'll be fitted to the car in time for the next session.
Hey, what's going on, guys? aarava here. Welcome back to another part of my F1 2018 career mode. Part number 6 today for the Monaco Grand Prix, the jewel in the Formula 1 calendar. But if you guys did miss the previous episode of the Spanish Grand Prix, probably arguably the best race of this series so far, then be sure to check that one out before you see this one. Uploaded only earlier today, annotation in the top right. But we get into this episode then with 3 minor upgrades to the car. 2 for the aero, which is a front downforce, and a minor downforce you can see there, and then also the chassis weight reduction upgrade that actually failed on us, and we had to redo at what was the Chinese Grand Prix, and it took 2 races to do the weight reduction one. And then of course in between episodes 4 and 5, I upgraded my contract with Haas, which allowed me to get a minor upgrade in only 1 race. So that's why the 2 aero updates only took 1 episode to get. So we end up here coming to Monaco with 3 minors on the car, which is, you know, it adds up, because you can see there on the chart we've got a major spike up compared to McLaren and Renault, who have equally also upgraded for Monaco, but not as much as us. So we've done some great work there. Obviously the contract helping quite a bit. So really looking forward to this one. I was already thinking we could go well around Monaco. Generally, obviously, Monaco, it's more about the driver than the car. And so if you're good enough, you can drag a car up a little bit at the Monaco Grand Prix. But now that the car seemingly is going to be in a really good position right now, we should be able to comfortably be ahead of the Renault and McLarens. And you never know, if something crazy happens, challenge the top guys around the Principality. So let's see how practice goes, and then obviously the all-important qualifying here at Monaco. Probably the most important qualifying session of the entire season for us today in this episode. But first, let's get into FP1 and see how we do there.
Welcome to Monaco for this weekend's Formula 1 Grand Prix. It's a race that is truly steeped in history, but before the drivers turn their attention to winning, they first need to get through today's tricky practice session. Lowes Hairpin is the slowest corner of any track on the Formula 1 calendar. It's taken at just 48 kilometers an hour, but provides a stunning view on the first lap as the entire grid bunches up and tiptoes through the corner, hoping not to leave any carbon fibre parts behind.
This is such a tight bend that a special steering rack is used just to get around this very corner, as the cars would not normally be able to make the turn. There is the possibility of overtaking through Lowes, but more often than not, you'll end up damaging your car.
So obviously we had a lot of luck with the upgrades, so I guess at some point we had to have some bad luck, and so we've got a fuel system fault here at the start of FP1. The second time we've had a fault like this in 6 episodes. The other time was a Q1 session though, so thankfully this isn't going to impede quali. If this fault had happened in Q1, that would have been a lot worse. We would have been, you know, kind of really put under pressure and hot on the collar, because Monaco, it's all about dialing into the circuit. As you go on, your very first lap is terrible, and then as you go on, more than any other circuit, you just get exponentially faster and faster because you dial into the circuit. You start pushing the car a little bit more closer to the barriers, closer to the walls. You know, just go a little bit later on the brakes, etc., etc. And yeah, throughout practice, exactly that felt really planted in. And I was ready for quali, did all the practice programs, of course, and so that was all pretty straightforward now. You know, we're kind of seasoned veterans, I would say, at the practice programs now, and so we'll go straight into an interview post-practice.
Fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. It looks like you've really been focusing on research and development this season.
So obviously Claire's recognised we were doing a lot of upgrades on the car, and I would say chassis has been a really important one for us, and that's going to give a morale boost.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge some corners?
And this was a slightly annoying question from Claire, talking about in practice I was grazing a few barriers, as you do in Monaco, and my answer unfortunately gave me a decreased rep with the team. So that was a little bit frustrating to know that, just such an off-the-cuff word, you know, decreased my rep, but that's the way things go. We're going to quali then, as I said, dialed in and ready for the most important qualifying session of the season.
We're here at the magical Circuit de Monaco for one of the most challenging qualifying sessions on the Formula 1 calendar. Who can add their name to the illustrious list of Monte Carlo pole sitters here today?
So after that rather strange short intro to Monaco, I don't know, maybe Crofty and Davidson just didn't want to talk anymore, want to get straight into the action. So we are, and we're here in Q1. Obviously the first time the Hypersofts have been used ever in this season, and we're through the last corner then, and it should be a pretty almost a formality that we get through into Q2 unless an absolute disaster has occurred, but it has not, and we get through. Obviously Magnussen outdoes us, but at the moment Q1 it's all just about getting through. Doesn't really matter. It's when it counts as Q3. Hopefully we can get into that. Speaking of that, that's not a given, because Q2, you never know. It has been very, very close this season, and you can bet Q2 is just going to be that. So we need to make sure we nail it here. You can see it's a bit overcast compared to Q1. Q1, the sun was shining. Now you can see the clouds have come over a little bit, so I don't know what that means for the track temp, so it's not exactly as overcast as it was at the Spanish Grand Prix, but actually in a way it kind of makes me my time around Monaco a little bit easier, because the clouds coming over means I don't get that stupid sun glare which usually gets in my eyes, and I'm not a big fan of it. So we've got a little bit of sun poking through, but it's been a really tidy lap now, and we open DRS, and let's see what's it going to be as we run to the line. As I said, pretty tasty lap I felt. We're up into P3, and by the end of the session though, it wasn't exactly the fastest lap. K-Mag again out-qualifies us. For the first time, I noticed that our gearbox is a little bit worn, 82%. But Monaco, you know, since it's very hard to overtake, I feel like we should be fine. And obviously the lap time is not suffering too much. You can see through turn 1, we gained some time. And then the last sector, now hop over the little bump there in the swimming pool chicane, down to Raskas, down the gear, second gear, little lock up on the front right, then swing the car across, dance it through the final corner, open the DRS. You can see there on the top right, we gained a lot of time there on that second lap, and the gearbox really isn't hampering us too much. So we're up into P6, and K-Mag is out of Q2. He did not make it into the top 10. My teammate got knocked out. It's Sainz, Hülkenberg, and Alonso through, and that is very surprising, because for a second there, I was the one under pressure, and then I go and smash it after I notice my gearbox is worn. So very, very odd. So now here we are in Q3 then, and it's a chance for us to, well, I'm hoping, go P7, which would be obviously best of the rest. So that would be very, very ideal. And you can see there, really getting quite close there in Casino Square. I almost, if I went any more right, I would have smashed my right front tyre right into the wall, and that would have been quali over for me. So literally taking Monaco right to the limits here as we fly through now Sector 3, and then across the line. What's it going to be? It is going to be P7, and with only 3 minutes 50 left in the session, that's going to be our running over, and it is going to be indeed P7. Of course, we did not have time or even the tyres for a second run, because I used 2 different new sets of tyres in Q2. So that was my one and only flyer, and I made it count. So we're ahead of Fernando, Alonso, both Renaults, and then of course my teammate's going to be down there in P11 right behind Carlos Sainz. So best of the rest, really good going. Pretty much the maximum I could have expected from the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying round here in the Haas. And you can see there, we're doing pretty good on the rivalry front now with K-Mag. We're actually 1 ahead of him, 25 to 24. So he was really outdoing us, but now we've brought it back a little bit. So it's going to be pretty damn crucial, this Monaco race. And then going into next episode, I think that's when the rivalry can be confirmed, who's won it. So that's going to be very, very close. But we are thoroughly beating Carlos Sainz at least. So yeah, no need to worry about the Renault. Obviously the Renault has been good in quali, but has really been going backwards in the races. But after quali, seeing the gearbox at 85%, and we're not at the, obviously the rules are you have to take a gearbox a full 6 races. So obviously we're just on the edge. So after that, due to seeing that wear, I thought we'll go for our second reliability upgrade of the season and go for a gearbox wear reliability perk. So that'll come in for next race. But now we're going to hit the intro, go to the grids, and then go to the Monaco Grand Prix race.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend downwards towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners at Saint-Devote, and don't expect to see much overtaking here today. And as the drivers start thinking about getting a good start and how on earth to get through Sandavot in one piece, I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, if we might be seeing a safety car or two today.
Well, you wouldn't exactly bet against it, would you? Statistically, it is pretty common, of course. About 80% of all Monaco Grand Prix will have at least one safety car. And that's despite the incredible work of the marshals around here, who you'll often see lifting cars out of the way just under the yellow flag conditions. The teams will always plan for the worst case scenario though, and they'll be making sure various caution periods are built into their strategy models for the race.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen, the engineer, Alonso, Hülkenberg, Sainz and Kevin Magnussen, Leclerc, Perez, Esteban Ocon and Bottas. Van Dorn, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Gasly, Sergei Sirotkin and Marcus Ericsson. Hartley and Lance Stroll rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so from P7 on the grid then, it's looking like the default is a 2-stop, Hypersoft to 2 sets of Ultrasoft tyres, but like we saw in real life at the Monaco Grand Prix, teams were really stubborn with trying a 1-stop with Supersofts, and they were so stubborn to the point where it sometimes was faster to do the 2-stop, but then due to the traffic, it just didn't work out. But I reckon we could maybe pull it off. You can see the Supersofts can go the distance, but it's just not a thing that the game thinks is a viable, good strategy. But I want to try it. I'm keen to try it. It's worked in the past, already this season, the one less stop. Monaco, it is going to be tougher. If we get held up in traffic, it is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So I will definitely play it by the ear and see what's going on. We're going to underfuel the car, though. That's definitely something I know we can do, because in the practice programs, the fuel was just so easy to do in that practice program specifically. So I don't think fuel is going to be an issue today. But yeah, we'll see how the Hypersofts hold up first, and then we can see what we're feeling like. But here we go then to 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix, the duel in the Formula 1 calendar. Round number 6 of the 2018 season is underway as the lights are out. Has been a good start for us, but an even better one for Fernando Alonso. He's flying into turn 1 down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen maybe. Raikkonen's had such a poor start to the Grand Prix. Just no traction there off the lights, and Alonso's still trying to keep it in. He's got his nose in, and he might try around the outside. He'll turn to the inside then for Casino Square. We're still remaining in P7, just trying to watch this fight, and we just narrowly miss the back end of Raikkonen and actually get that move down the inside of Mirabeau, and we are up into P6 of the Monaco Grand Prix. So kind of a thank you note to Fernando Alonso, really, for allowing me to make that kind of move. But I would have liked to have also been ahead of Fernando, so this is going to be difficult, because the McLaren now, around Monaco, there's not going to be much of an advantage to gain with our Ferrari engine v the Renault in the McLaren there, just like the Red Bulls will be hoping today against the Ferrari and the Mercedes. So we'll have to see how this goes then, but we're behind Alonso, but at least ahead of one Ferrari, which is something I didn't think I'd be saying at the very start of this Grand Prix. As we go on now towards lap 2 through the final corner, no DRS yet.
Engine may struggle to get into gear at the normal speed. We're seeing a fault with the gearbox.
Oh my god. No. No. No, the gearbox is jammed. The gearbox is jammed. We have got serious issues here. I'm nowhere. I'm 10th. I'm 10th within one sector. The gearbox just won't change gear. I'm frantically just slamming down the gear shifters on my wheel, left and right, trying anything, upshifts or downshifts, and it just won't go either way. The gearbox is fully jammed. I just cut. The gears are so delayed, and then occasionally, like you saw on the main straight, the gear will just completely jam up and will literally rev the hell out of my engine, which is also not helping my engine wear. You can see there in second gear, the engine's revving like that and like that right now in third gear. It's just going to wear out the engine as well, so I'm having to kind of lift off on purpose just so the engine doesn't also get wrecked. But at the moment, our gearbox has got serious issues. There was a little bit of a wear in qualifying, but I didn't think it was going to be this serious into the race, and we're down to P14. Bottas, who had some sort of penalty or something like that, I don't know. I completely missed where Bottas went in this Grand Prix, but he's passes for P14. We're down to P15 in the span of one lap. Literally, we entered this part of the circuit and we were P6 or P7 was it, and now we're with P15, and we're behind Bottas. We're just ahead of Gasly, but literally the Toro Rosso Hondas are catching us up at a rate of knots, and you can see the speed, or the lack thereof of speed, down the main straight, just going so slow, because literally it might not look like anything, but I'm literally slamming my gear shifters at this point frantically. I almost wish like I had got like my phone out to record me just slamming the gears down my wheel in real life, because I was literally doing everything I could, and the game and my gearbox was not responding. My gearbox is kaput right now. It just is not working. We're getting overtaken now by the Saubers, the Toro Rosso, Stroll's Williams is around the outside. The bloody Williams are overtaking us. That's when you know everything is in a dire situation, when the Williams is overtaking you. And we're down in 18th place. We've literally only got the Williams cars left to overtake us, and then we'll be stone dead last. This has been an absolute tragedy. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. There's not much else I can say. It's just a disaster. Are we going to even make the end of this Grand Prix? I have a worry I can't even... Is there any point of even running if my gearbox doesn't get fixed? If it doesn't miraculously come back to me, and I can maybe get running again normally, if it just continues to be jammed like this, will I even make the end of the Grand Prix in any kind of good time? Like, surely I'll run out of time at the end, because when the winner goes across the line, there's only like a 5-minute window which you are allowed to finish the race then, as we overtake the Williams car then.
Okay, Jeff here. You're causing unnecessary wear to your transmission. Try to take it easy. You risk losing it.
Right, okay, looks like we have a bit of hope. You can see now on the bottom right, I can seemingly change gear now in a decent amount of time, but now, obviously, now I'm wary that the gearbox can jam at any point. My engineers told me that I shouldn't stop, I can't rev the gearbox, basically, otherwise I'll wear the transmission out anymore. So now, we've got, how many, 35 laps of the Monaco Grand Prix. We're second last, and I can't afford to go past the red line point of my rev limiter. Literally, obviously, there's 3 coloured lights. It's red, green, and blue, I think, or the other way around. I can't afford to go past the first set of rev lights, basically. So I'm basically going to be short shifting and late shifting into every brake zone everywhere. I won't be able to go any higher than about, 10,000 revs or around there, like 11, maybe 12,000 is the max. Literally, this entire rest of the Grand Prix. So this has now become effectively an attempt at the biggest comeback drive we've ever done with a broken and limping car. Essentially, this car is literally on its last legs, and I'm just trying to coast it home by short shifting every corner. You can see, though, straight away on the very next lap, even a broken, limping Haas is still faster than some of these bottom cars. So I'm confident we can at least try and have some fun overtaking, or re-overtaking, I should say, the Saubers, maybe the Toro Rosso, and the Williams, I'm guessing, because I think one of the Williams cars is ahead of these guys. But we've already caught up to Marcus Ericsson, then this train of him, and then the Toro Rosso cars. So, even with all the short shifts, obviously I can still use ERS and Rich Mix. So it's just the fact that I won't have maybe the acceleration out of corners that I want. But in mid-corner, I still have the downforce available, and obviously under braking, I can go a lot later than some of these lower cars. So I am actually catching these guys, but after them, you can see there's a huge gap on the mini-map then, and there's just pretty much no dots until the main straight. Like, literally, the top pack are going through towards turn 1 right now. So we have a big, big fight back if we want to go any further. But down the inside, we make a classic Raskas move straight away. So even in the middle of despair and absolute agony at the Monaco Grand Prix here, guys, I'm able to pull off my infamous Monaco Grand Prix overtake in Raskas. And look at that, Fernando Alonso is coming out the pit lane now. He's made a pit stop. So on lap number 6, his Hypersoft have already gone off, it looks like, and Hülkenberg has also made a pit stop, and he's up ahead of both Toro Rossos of Hartley and Gasly there. So very intriguing as we dive it down the inside of Hartley, and we're actually making some good progress through the Toro Rosso pack. Interesting, that looks like some of the top guys in the top 10 pack. Obviously, remember, Alonso's ahead of us before we even had the gearbox issue. They've already picked from their Hypersofts, so we're already ahead of Alonso. I don't know if he's going to make another stop, but pretty much now you would say, I think my only strategy to make anything out of this Grand Prix is I need to go super long on these Hypersofts and then try go to the soft tires or super softs and go all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. I should say just super softs. There's no soft tires available. What am I talking about? Yeah, so we need to just go long and we have to commit to the one stop now, because that is now ironically the only strategy that would work for us to make this happen. So we're up into P14 though, albeit we have to make at least one pit stop now. So I'm not going to get too happy right now. I don't think we're actually around P14 once everyone makes their stops, but still looking okay, and we have a glimmer of hope here as we go into turn 1. Carlos Sainz right ahead of us, so both Renaults have jumped Fernando Alonso's McLaren, so that's pretty crazy actually. I don't know what happened in the aftermath of my gearbox failure, but clearly Alonso's being mugged off by both Renaults. Actually now, since we weren't anywhere near it, let's take a look at the top flight action. A replay this was Hamilton, Vettel then you got the 2 Red Bull cars, Raikkonen's got back past Alonso, then it's the 2 Renaults, followed by Kevin Magnussen, my teammate there. So that was how the top order shaped up after my gearbox failure, but before any pit stops were made, with all the top guys on hypersofts, bar Magnussen, I think that was, because obviously he was out in Q2, so he did not have to start on hypers. And then that's the replay of myself getting ahead of Fernando Alonso. And so ahead of us was both Renault cars, Sainz and Hulkenberg. That's Hulkenberg, and of course on the very next lap, Sainz we saw got out ahead of that train as well. Ahead of Hulkenberg is one of the Red Bull cars that's made a pit stop. Then you've got, I think that's Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen, both of them making pit stops already as well. So a lot of the top guys, and also the 2 Mercedes cars, so a lot of the top guys have all made, or all of them have made pit stops, apart from Magnussen, who wasn't really a top guy in a sense of he wasn't on hypersoft. So he's the only guy who was in that top 8, I think, that wasn't on hypersofts, and he's still going on ultras. And at the moment in second place is Charles Leclerc. That's the Alfa Romeo Sauber there. So that was Sainz's Renault just ahead of Magnussen. So Sainz has gone in on that replay. Magnussen now leads the Grand Prix, I think, with Leclerc second, Van Dorn third, and one of the Force Indies in fourth, because all of them started on ultra soft tyres, because all of them, remember, did not qualify into Q3, so did not have to start on hypers. So everyone on hypers has already made their pit stop. I'm finally making my pit stop off the hypersofts I started on. We've gone so long, up until lap 11, so I've taken those tyres about 5 laps longer than the likes of Fernando Alonso took them. So I've done a great bit of work there, and now I'm on super softs to the end of the Grand Prix. So from lap 12 now, it's just about doing the job, getting our head down, focusing on making sure we don't rev the gearbox too much to make sure it doesn't jam again, because if it jams again, that is race over. That is, I'm just going to quit the race if it jams again. So going to try and do our best to be nice and easy on the gears, and we'll see what we can do really. And actually, as we move on, 2 laps later this is, after our pit stop on lap 14, closing up outside the tunnel to a train which is trailed by Sergio Perez. Then you've got Ericsson there, so we've already overtaken Ericsson once, and so we might re-overtake him now. You can see there's a lot of traffic, and in this pack I think is one of the Renault cars of Hulkenberg, and also potentially also Fernando Alonso. I think that is maybe up ahead. They're being held up by one of the Toro Rosso cars. Yeah, I think it is Alonso. Yeah, Alonso behind one of the Toro Rosso. So as we dive it down the inside of Sergio Perez there, a little bit elbows out there, but needs must. And we're going to be up into P17, so still making progress here despite the limping Haas. And so next up is Marcus Ericsson. Look, in a race like this, we just have to take this car by car. Doesn't matter what the situation is, you know, we could look ahead, but it's really no use. We just have to do it car by car, nice and patient, and we'll see where we end up at the end of this thing. So we overtake Ericsson, then down the inside of the hairpin. Very opportunistic move there. Saw the Sauber was going real slow into the brake zone, so just took him down the inside. We're up into P16 now, and then look at this. Fernando Alonso is being held up an absolute treat by the Toro Rosso, Pierre Gasly. So Gasly, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know Gasly's been a big rival of mine in previous F1 series, but at the moment he's doing me a massive favour, so thank you very much, mate. Holding up Alonso, the man I was right beside before I had my gearbox failure, and somehow now I'm ending up racing him. Remember, Alonso probably has to make one more stop maybe, and I have to make no stops, so I am going to end this race. Even if Fernando is going to end this Grand Prix, the fact that I'm right beside him right now is still bonkers. So he's lost so much time in the pit stop phases, and also the traffic. I think he was probably one of the first people in that top flight that pit for hypersofts, because we saw Sainz come out a lap or 2 later, and I think the top guys were still going on. So Alonso really just shot himself in the foot by pitting so early on his hypersofts. I mean, if it's tyre wear, there's tyre wear, but you know, Monaco is all about track position, so we dive it down the inside of Mirabeau. Very opportunistic there. I'm getting tired and impatient of waiting. Fernando's clearly not, and he's just staring at the back of the Toro Rosso car. I've had enough, and so I took the opportunity, and we'll take the opportunity again, and we'll try and do it on Gasly now, as we're going to size up a move in Rasgas. Kind of go nice and early on the traction, the power. Down the inside we go. Little bit bump and grind on the side pod I'm sorry, Gasly, but it had to be done, and we're up into P14 there, and just about squeezed by. That was a GP2, or I should say F2 style move there. A little bit elbows out in Rasgas, but got it done. Good working hard move, and we're up the order. Now, meanwhile, this is Kevin Magnussen now finally making his pit stop later on into this Grand Prix. This is, a couple laps after, and also at the same time, it's going to be Leclerc in, Van Dorn, and also Ocon in. So all four of those cars, the Haas, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, Sauber, and the Force India, all of them are on ultra soft tyres. They're now going on to super soft to the end of the Grand Prix. But you can see here, as Magnussen comes out, he's come out in completely clean air near no one. So I don't actually know where Magnussen is in this race, but all I do know is Charles Leclerc has just been held up by Van Dorn and Ocon, and there is the answer. Magnussen is ahead of everyone here. That is one of the Williams cars at the moment ahead of the Mercedes. The Williams still going on ultras. Then you've got Hamilton, the two Red Bulls, the Ferraris behind, and the Red Bulls as well. And so behind them is then Van Dorn, Ocon, Leclerc, with Leclerc being overtaken by Ocon and Van Dorn in the pit lane. And then finally Stroll comes in, and so it is Magnussen that leads the Monaco Grand Prix on super softs. Then you've got Hamilton, the Red Bull car, I can't tell which one, but they're basically being released now because the Williams is out of the way. So it's a Merc, Red Bull, two Ferraris, another Red Bull, and then you've got Van Dorn and Ocon, I believe, with Leclerc as well as also that Renault pack. So you've got the two Renaults sandwiching Fernando Alonso, and then you've got this pack. So it's all a bit messy, but all I know is eventually then Hamilton comes in for a second pit stop of the day. We've got Ricciardo going on, Vettel goes on, but Raikkonen's in with Hamilton as well, and I'm assuming Max Verstappen as well, the other Red Bull car. So half of the top three teams have come in for a second stop already, and I don't think we've even reached halfway through this Grand Prix. So I don't know what on earth their strategy is, but their tyres are really wearing out way too much for them to be going on the tyres they were on, and somehow I can't really tell what the order is. It's all rather messed up. I'm trying to make some peace of it, but I feel like it's kind of, you're looking at Magnussen, Van Dorn, Ocon, Leclerc in the top kind of fray. I think we're at the moment on lap 27 now, so it's been a long while. The last time you saw a POV from my car was lap 14. We've just been doing the job, going as long as we can, and just, trying to settle down. We've got a virtual safety car right now. We're still only, I say only, P13. We're P13 after a gearbox failure that took us down to second last place. So I am absolutely thrilled where we are at the moment. And I'm kind of praying Sainz, maybe he gets held up or something like that. But at the moment, we're just going to the end of this virtual safety car period. And at the moment, I'm nowhere near anyone, because Alonso has had to make a second pit stop like I talked about. So at the moment, really just driving to a delta time and just trying to do as well as I can. And so the virtual safety car comes in, but it did help us out quite a bit to save some fuel, and also the battery pack as well, the battery store. So now I can afford to go in rich mix for quite some way of this Grand Prix if need be, if we're attacking cars, or I'm assuming probably defending cars at the end, because I have a feeling that even if we overtake some more cars, like you can see right now, we actually overtake Verstappen and Hamilton. For some reason, Hamilton and Verstappen, they've already made two pit stops in the Grand Prix, and they come in for a third pit stop. I don't know what's going on, but we might have to defend from now, Hamilton and Verstappen in this race. Hamilton's down the pit lane, and he's not made a pit stop. I think he's been hit with a drive-through. I think he's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, as that's my Haas that went by in a flash. Verstappen also, and also you got the Renault car. I think that's Hülkenberg maybe, or Sainz. So all three of those cars have been hit with a drive-through penalty for speeding on the virtual safety car, I'm pretty sure, because no pit stops were made there. So I can only assume it was a drive-through, and I can only assume it was for speeding on the virtual safety cars, because I saw no replays of them making any kind of horrendous mistakes with other cars. Meanwhile, Kimi Raikkonen showing everyone how it's done down the inside before the casino section of the Williams car and overtaking slow traffic. So Kimi, unlike everyone else, and earlier, unlike Hamilton, who was wasting time behind the Williams car, Kimi wasting no time at all. Meanwhile, we've got Vettel closing up to Van Dorn. Then you've got ahead of Van Dorn is Ricciardo closing up to this pack and train that includes Charles Leclerc, and then a lot of cars that are blue flag cars, actually. The Toro Rosso cars in that train aren't actually for position, they're blue flagged. And so you've just got a lot of traffic congestion there for a lot of the top guys But at the moment, it seems like the only top guy still in the top flight is Daniel Ricciardo, who is chasing down Leclerc there, and who was already ahead of Van Dorn, and Van Dorn was trying to keep Vettel at bay. And meanwhile now, we're on lap 33, so about 5 laps after I overtook Verstappen, Hamilton, and Sainz, and they're all starting to rapidly close up on me. Verstappen's ahead now of Hamilton, and it looks like Sainz is not too far behind, but you can see we're now up into P10 of this Grand Prix. Somehow, with only 7 laps to go in this race, or even less, I should say, 6 laps, we are somehow in the points-paying positions. There's only 1 point, but still, 1 point after having such a bad gearbox failure is a miracle and fantastic, but it's not over there. We have to do some defending to try and keep this ahead of Verstappen using high ERS mode through the tunnel. Verstappen's going to have a great run because I'm short shifting still to protect my gearbox. We have to go defensive to the inside. Verstappen ran the long way, but we're going to squeeze him off. We can take the corner. He's hardly got most of his car alongside of us, so we take the corner deep, and Verstappen is pretty much pushing us through the exit of that chicane as we short shift still, and we just can't get the acceleration compared to him. But at the moment, we are keeping ahead. We move now 4 laps later, and we are so close now to tasting some points here at this Monaco Grand Prix, which will literally be miracles, like I said, as we go through now again to the tunnel section. Verstappen would have a good run. We've been a little bit late at changing the ERS there. Only now do I change it to overtake mode, so a little bit delay there. But actually, I don't need to worry, because Verstappen needs to be the one worrying, because Sainz now, look at that, down the inside. What a dive bomb there by the Spaniard. He's doing us a major favour there. He overtakes Verstappen, and Sainz ahead of Verstappen now at the Monaco Grand Prix. What a fantastic dive that was. And we move on now to the end of lap 38, on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, and look at that, Raikkonen is in the pit lane in the mini-map there, and we've got 1 more position. We're not even P10, we're P9 now. We're going to get 2 points here at the Monaco Grand Prix after a major gearbox failure. I don't know, last lap pit stop there for the Ferrari man, and so we've only got a lap left to defend from Carlos Sainz potentially to keep this P9, but Kevin Magnussen is the race winner. Kevin bloody my teammate Kevin K-Mag has just won the Monaco Grand Prix. I repeat, my teammate in the Haas, my teammate has won the Monaco Grand Prix. My teammate is slapping me this. He's not only got 2nd place at Baku then, he's now got a win before I have. In the history of F1 games, never has there been a scene where a teammate has slapped me this hard. Never has a teammate got a podium before me, let alone also on top of that a win before I have in the team. This is crazy scenes. Magnussen somehow has won the Monaco Grand Prix, and somehow though, I mean, let's forget about K-Mag for a second. It's a bloody miracle that we're going to come through to the last corner of the Monaco Grand Prix to get 2 points after we were 2nd last on lap 2 after a gearbox failure. That has been an unreal Monaco Grand Prix race.
A great win then for the Haas team today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Haas picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing Grand Prix.
I don't quite believe it, but that is absolutely insane podium. Magnussen wins the race. Ocon is P2 in the Force India. Leclerc gets 3rd place and on the podium at his home Grand Prix. Bottas P4, Ricciardo P5, Van Dorn P6, Vettel P7, Sergei Sorokin in the Williams. Fantastic P8 for him. We're P9 after that failure at the beginning. And then Carlos Sainz in 10th place. Hamilton, Verstappen, Raikkonen out of the points. Fernando, Alonso out of the points. What a race. And K-Mag didn't even have a lightning strategy. Look at Magnussen made a 2-stop around Monaco and won the race. Ocon and Leclerc I can get because they made a 1-stop, so I guess they jumped people, but Magnussen made 2 stops just like Ricciardo and Vettel did, and he still managed to win the Grand Prix. Absolutely sensational. Like I said, this is unheard of. This is baffling. I've been hoodwinked. I've been bamboozled. I've been run amok. My teammate has never beaten me this badly in any kind of season in F1. It's nuts. It's nuts. Magnussen is up into P5 of the Drivers' Championship. He's ahead of both Red Bulls. He is the one carrying this team at the moment. We're putting on the pressure to Red Bull Racing and the Constructors, and it's all thanks to Kevin Magnussen. Absolutely insane. I don't have much else to say. I've run out of words to describe what has just gone on here in front of our faces on this screen, apart from, guys, be sure to bloody smash that screen of yours and smash the like button, because this is insane. This was an insane race, and probably the most insane Monaco result I've ever seen, because usually it involves me, the player, getting the insane result. But no, it's my teammate, the AI teammate, getting the crazy result. Unheard of, unheard of.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective.
I have no words.
It looks like you've invested heavily in the development of new parts.
We have, but I have no words. I have no words. Why are you asking me about parts? What? Sure, yeah.
You had a close battle today, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
It looks like your rival bested you today, doesn't it?
He more than bested it. He absolutely embarrassed me today.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
I don't remember a crash, but I'm lucky I didn't end my race with a gearbox failure, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Great, well that's everything.
Okay then, bye. I'm gonna go dunk my head in cold ice, because I still don't believe that result. So, we are losing the rivalry now with Kevin Magnussen, clearly, in a teammate challenge. With our other rival, Sainz, we've got him in our back pocket. We're quite comfortable with him. He's gained a little bit back there on the point side, but we should be beating him. But next race, I believe, is when the teammate rivalry will be decided. And it looks like K-Mag might have us there. We do have a positive note, though. We do get a 500 R&D bonus for completing 6 practice programs. That was our contract perk that we got given to us after our successful negotiation. So an extra 500 there is going to go a long way. That's essentially nearly an entire minor upgrade. And so the reputation with most of the teams went down after that race. Obviously, being beaten so badly by my teammate is definitely not a good thing for me. But finally, before we end off the episode then, guys, looking at upgrades, chassis-wise, we can now look at a major upgrade now. The first time we can do a major upgrade, it's going to be a major chassis weight reduction there. We could go towards weight redistribution or tyre wear, but I'm not really feeling it. I want to delve more into the weight reduction because that's a big thing. A lighter car is better in a straight line, better out of the corners acceleration, and it's just a bit more nimble in the corners as well. It just improves everything, in my opinion. And then also, we're going to balance out the rear downforce with the front downforce upgrade. So, we've got a front downforce minor, a major chassis update, and then we've also got the gearbox wear update coming. So, that should also help us out on hopefully not ever repeating this major gearbox jamming issue in a future race with that one minor gearbox reliability upgrade. Because I feel like we only need to take the gearbox 6 races. We nearly got there, so one minor upgrade to that should help us out. But we'll have, that major and the minor on the aero and chassis. That'll be good. And you can see the progress we've already made ahead of Renault and McLaren. Hopefully we can continue that. But, I mean, my word, we've got a race win now as a team. It's my teammate. I don't really know where to go from here. I mean, sky's the limit after winning a race. I don't know what the future holds now. Find out in the next episode then, guys. But if you have enjoyed this one, like I said, smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.